based on popular demand, going to do an OT on Mr. McMahon, the Netflix documentary. I've gotten a lot of DMs about it. I've seen a lot of
comments
on Patreon, other places asking if we've seen it.
People are dying to hear you two's thoughts on it, huh?
Well, so we should let people know it came out 9 days ago. If you haven't watched it yet, you might not want to listen to this.
Yeah, big spoilers.
We're going to talk about
everything.
Yeah, well, maybe not. That's a lot of stuff. But we're just going to talk about it. So pause right now and go watch 6 hours of the Mr. McMahon documentary and then come back to us. We'll still be here.
I devoted the whole day to that.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. I watched it all in one day.
I did, yeah. I about did the same. I did like 3 episodes that afternoon, 2 episodes that night, and I was like, I gotta get to bed. Did like some shit, and I was like, I gotta get to bed, and it was like 1:30, and I was like, fuck it, I'm watching that last episode. Might as well just get through it.
I actually did watch it. I know I said in our last show I wasn't going to waste my time with that drivel, but I watched the whole thing, all 6 episodes on my flight back from London the other day.
To be clear, you said you weren't going to watch it while on vacation.
Well, I watched it at the end of my vacation on the way back. So
just mean there was a good chance you probably would have gotten home and still watched it anyways. Let's be honest. You're pretty
probably not.
You're pretty hooked on this pro wrestling
trying
stuff
to
now.
Kill time on the plane.
Well, you killed 6 hours, right?
Exactly.
So I guess I'm interested in what you thought of it as like a outsider, not a wrestling fan. What were your takeaways from it?
It was interesting. I mean, the behind the scenes, the business of wrestling's always been interesting, I think. It was more the history of WWE.
Yeah.
Like expose more than anything else, like, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. I knew a lot of the history of the WWE, so I didn't necessarily learn all that much stuff. But it's interesting how he approaches business and then his ideas and the behind the scenes stuff. That was good.
I think, Ian, you started it before me, like an episode or two, and you had texted me and you're like, this is more a history of WWE than anything. And that's exactly right. Like, and I think in the first few minutes of the documentary, Vince is like, I don't like talking about myself. I'm not going to really talk much about myself. And so it just kind of all became about WWE, which maybe that is Vince McMahon anyways.
I think that's part of the problem. I think there's two issues with why that documentary turned into a history lesson is because Vince McMahon is wrestling. There's no way to talk about him without talking about the history. And I think that because they didn't go after the controversial stuff as much, it's just going to be a history thing. They didn't really touch on much of the controversy.
What do you mean by that? Like what controversy? Because I felt like they covered it. They touched on, they discussed all of the scandals that I was aware of.
But they didn't like dig into them very much. Like Owen, they spent 10 minutes on Owen maybe.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it was kind of like Vince's history of WWE.
Right.
Kind of.
No one pushed back on some of that stuff.
He's a weird guy for sure.
Absolutely.
He is a freak.
He created his own world.
Yeah.
And that's just, he lives in a bubble.
Yeah, you can just tell.
And like the outside stuff doesn't really exist to him. Like I remember, I think it was Paul Heyman once saying that like Vince didn't know what like MMA was in UFC until like the 2000s. Because at one point it was suggested to Vince like that he could buy it, like when the Fertittas bought it. And he's like, no, I have no interest in buying
Shane
it.
came to him with the,
That's what it was.
right?
Yeah, Shane wanted it.
And I think Paul Heyman said like in the mid 2000s. So now we're talking after the Shamrocks and all that. Like finally Vince went to to Heyman and was like, okay, what is UFC? Put together a 10-minute video for me. And like they had to teach him what UFC was because he didn't fucking know. It's not pro wrestling. It's not in his bubble.
But he signed Shamrock and stuff to the WWE. Like he didn't even have like a basic knowledge of where that guy came from.
I think a lot of that is like Jerry Briscoe, who's one of his like recruiters, who was like big in the amateur wrestling scene, and Jim Ross, who was the talent relations guy. I think it was more them, and then they bring tape or whatever or recommendations, and then Vince will meet with them.
I don't get the impression that Vince really cares about people's background, where they came from very much. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I've also heard it said that like Vince doesn't see like the NBA or the NFL or like UFC as competition because that's not wrestling. That's not sports entertainment. And again, Paul Heyman's like, anything that's going to make you change the channel away from us is competition. Mm-hmm. So you should be aware of these things. If it's Monday Night Football is on, people are going to watch that instead of Monday Night Raw. So was there any surprises, Dave, from your end? Anything that you remember, like in general, just being like, that was weird, or I didn't know that, or?
No, not really. I think it's interesting. Well, they kind of highlighted that he doesn't really burn bridges. He doesn't keep those grudges long term. He invite, like people like Hogan and even Bischoff invites them back in after their whatever went down between them. And
Sable.
That was interesting. Sable after while she was suing him, right?
Like the lawsuits I think were still going on, but he's like, if we can make money, then we're doing it. Ultimate Warrior came back after they had put out like DVD documentaries burying the Ultimate Warrior. Then finally they made good and brought him back. The only one that he never really reconciled with was Randy Savage, and because of that, it sparked all kinds of rumors of what happened there. And Savage died in 2010, so that ain't happening.
Well, the rumor is that Savage banged Stephanie, right?
That's the most extreme of the rumors. Yes, he did. That's not fair. He did. They put him in the Hall of Fame a few years back, but it was after he had died. So
I forgot how cute Steph was when she was.
Yeah,
she still is. But
I think
when
she's
she was
still
young,
gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. Triple H is like, well, I'm gonna make my move. What about from your end, Ian? What are your thoughts overall? Takeaways?
Well, I kind of felt a little proud moment for a second because I knew that our listeners on Patreon, they would all know all this information from us. Like,
yeah.
And I did see comments. We were like, oh, I already knew all this stuff from you guys. So,
so when they were watching it, they knew terms like work and shoot and screw job and all that. Yeah, I've had some people reach out as well, and they're like, I knew all this shit like from you guys.
It's interesting to see Vince talking. You don't really ever see him talk like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting just to like kind of, I don't know, try to pull out certain things he said, especially that the one thing he said about the woman referee, Rita, can't remember her last name.
Life sucks, and then you die.
Thanks, Vince.
It's one of his most famous quotes. Rita Chatterton.
So the comment that he made during that was kind of weird when he was like, well, even if it was rape, statute of limitations is run out. It's like, that's a weird way to say something.
Oof, it's not a way I'd go about denying something.
No, well, then the documentary made sure to cut in and it was like New York temporarily lifted statute of limitations in 2023. Vince McMahon paid her off in 2023.
Yeah.
So.
Those rotten bastards.
That's one of the ones, I think we talked about it. Oh, it was on our Mike's History Corner on Patreon recently. We talked about Warren Harding there was an alleged illegitimate child.
Yeah.
And this lady who had an affair with Warren Harding while he was president went on her rest of her life saying like, he's the father of my baby. He's the father of my, and everyone kind of just wrote her off. And then sure enough, 10 years ago, after they're all passed away, DNA testing proved that Warren Harding was the father of this baby while he was president. And it's kind of like this Rita story, like in the 80s, everyone just kind of wrote her off like, okay, you're a disgruntled employee. Yeah, whatever, go away. And then finally now with these new allegations, she's like, fucking told you.
Well, that's always been the thing, right? Anytime somebody speaks out against Vince or WWE or anything really, has anything negative to say, it's always, well, they were fired, they were let go.
You're fired.
That's Vince's famous "You're fired" he does on TV.
I'll get Lawler at the end of the clip. What?
You just need one of Lawler going, puppies.
So, I mean, like, that's always the excuse. It's like you said, disgruntled employee.
Yeah.
Also more like Warren Hardon, am I right?
Dude, that guy slept with everybody. Like he was sleeping with his best friend's wife and stuff
God damn.
before he was in office. She was the one I think I mentioned. Like they had all kinds of love letters that were discovered later on that he was sending to his best friend's wife. That guy couldn't fucking keep it in his pants. Maybe if you would have focused a little bit on his administration, they wouldn't have been so corrupt. Alas. You want me to throw NASCAR in here? Got NASCAR presidents in wrestling. It's just the Mike OT.
The triumvirate.
He also said that regarding the streak, Undertaker losing at WrestleMania, he had been undefeated for, X amount of years.
It was something that they built in. It was like a massive storyline every year. The Undertaker was undefeated at WrestleMania, and they didn't plan it that way. But like after, at one point they were like, oh fuck, this guy, we've never had him lose at WrestleMania. He's 10-0. Maybe we should make something of this. And it became like as big, if not bigger than the main event every year, like for the belt, because it's like, who's Undertaker gonna wrestle? Is this the year the streak ends?
Right.
Most people like us were like, oh, that streak's never gonna end. He'll just retire with it. And then go ahead.
And then Vince just decided on the fly pretty much that it was going to end. But like Undertaker gets fucking hurt bad, gets a head injury in that match.
A bad concussion.
Bad concussion. But in the documentary, Vince said that he wasn't concussed. He was just in shock from having the streak end. Like, I don't think that's...
Like Vince straight up denied, well, because, that's what he's going to do. He's going to deny that head injuries like that happen. And that, no, Mark was just in, that's Undertaker's name, Mark was just in shock because he doesn't remember anything. I don't think they said this in the documentary. Maybe they did. But like when Undertaker got backstage, he collapsed. And Vince left WrestleMania to go to the hospital with him.
Yeah.
Did they say that?
They didn't say that in the documentary, but yeah.
It's the first time Vince ever left WrestleMania and went to the hospital with Undertaker. But shock, Dave. It was shock.
I mean, he just blatantly lied a lot in the documentary. Like that's a time that he lied when they talked about Sable with the lawsuit. He's like, I don't remember what happened with that.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here, Vince.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that Stone Cold doesn't believe in CTE.
I was going to save that for mine. And as much as I love Stone... No, that's fine. We're just talking this out. As much as I love Austin, they were talking about the Chris Benoit thing. Mm-hmm. And if you've listened to our Chris Benoit episode, CTE was a big part of that. And when they did studies on... They had Chris Nowinski on the documentary, who was fantastic. The Harvard graduate who does like the neuroscience.
He got Benoit's brain sliced, right?
He called after everything settled down. Because he had already been removed from wrestling because of concussions. Mm-hmm. He called Chris Benoit's dad and was like, "Hey, here's who I am. We're doing studies. We would love to test his brain." And they did, and it showed the same deterioration as an 80-year-old man with severe Alzheimer's.
I believe he said it was the worst that they had ever seen.
Yeah.
But Vince just says he went nuts.
Vince
There's
said,
nothing.
"Oh no, he just went nuts."
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know if that's a scientific diagnosis. And
nuts.
And Austin just goes, I don't buy into that CTE thing. And I was hoping it was out of context, and that when you saw it, it was going to be like just about the Benoit thing.
Yeah.
And that's not how I took it. And if you watch the clip, like as soon as Austin says it, you can almost tell he's thinking like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." Because like he kind of just looks for a minute, and then you're like, "Well, that's out there now, pal." Yeah. I don't know how you can deny CTE at this point.
I appreciated what Undertaker said about CTE and stuff, like how honest he was that at first he was super pissed when they took away the chair shots, because he's like, this is like one of the huge staples of wrestling. You take chair shots to the head. Mm-hmm. And then he came around to the idea of like understanding why they couldn't do it anymore.
When it becomes
I thought that was cool to be honest like that about it.
Like such a part of your routine and like the way you work, and like it's part of like that tough guy image. Like, we've been doing this 5 years. What if they all of a sudden said no more sound clips are allowed on podcasts? And you're like, what the fuck? Like you're taking that away from me?
I would quit.
And then they had a reason.
I would murder Declan on my way out the door.
Oh, that's all right. I would just say, he went nuts. What do you want? He went nuts. What can you do?
Why don't they just use Nerf chairs? What's the difference?
Dave.
These people watch this, they believe anything. Just use Nerf chairs. They won't know the difference.
I think there's maybe some denial there for guys a little bit, maybe, because all those guys have taken some really big fucking chair shots.
They don't want to believe it.
Right. Like maybe don't want to believe that that's something possible.
Sure.
One back in the day, and I know we're off topic of the documentary, but they would take chair shots like to the back of the head.
That was
Just
Benoit's thing.
Worst place to get hit. Well, that and the fact that Benoit's one of his finishing moves was a flying headbutt off the top rope where his forehead would lay right on your fucking shoulder.
Doesn't seem good.
Like that's almost a concussion every night.
Like
It could be.
Undertaker, specifically Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have gone back and forth in the 90s with some vicious fucking chair shots to the head. Instant concussions.
And again, like when we're saying this, what Dave's saying, like they are actually using metal folding chairs, like the ones you go buy at Home Depot. They don't gimmick them. They're not fake. They'll try to hit you right in the flat part, so it's a little bit more give. But it is a regular folding chair, and they're swinging to make it look real. It's a point of pride with the wrestlers to be like, no, you're gonna fucking hit me and hit me hard because we want it. If you hit me like shit, it's gonna look like shit on TV. Make it look like you're trying to kill me. It's not fake in that sense of like it's a padded chair or anything like that. It's a real folding chair that they're taking to the head. Now they take it to like the back or the leg or whatever because they can't do headshots anymore.
I think the documentary showed some good examples of wrestling, getting the point across that, yeah, it's predetermined. We know who's going to win, but it is very physical. Like talking about Vince hitting Shane and made his like eye swell at the beginning. Like you're not punching someone to knock them out, but you are making contact to make it look believable.
You don't,
and it's a predetermined fight, really. I mean, it's very physical. People are going to get hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, like it already has the stereotype of being fake. So when you're on TV, you want it to look real. You don't want it to look like my fist is 3 inches from your forehead if I'm trying to be punching you.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of times they lay it in a little hard.
But I thought they showed that well in the documentary.
Some of that shit that Shane McMahon used to do is not fake. And then that guy's fucking nuts.
Shane McMahon would fly or jump off anything. And I'll tell you right now, he's not done yet. I think he's going to be in AEW here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then if you put him and Darby Allin in a match, someone's dying. Those guys would just jump off the top of the arena.
I felt bad for Shane. It seemed like Shane did all that stuff to get approval from Vince. Get an I love you from him somewhere along the line.
I also think of all 4 of the McMahons, Shane is the most level-headed of all 4.
Absolutely. I think that's why it seems like Vince doesn't like him. Like if I had to, play armchair psychologist, whatever, it seems like Shane's the only normal one. Like maybe that's why Vince doesn't like him. Because he's not like
I can make that argument.
the rest of them.
Do you think Vince holds a grudge against Stephanie because when she was in real life pregnant, she did not agree to a storyline where he was the father of her baby?
I like how she wouldn't even say it, and then they cut to Vince, and he was happy to talk about
Be
it.
the father of her baby. or when she was for real getting married to Paul Levesque, Triple H, Vince wanted to put it on pay-per-view for real, and she's like, fuck you. Like, this is my wife. Not everything has to put money in your pocket.
It's really fucking a weird dynamic, though, like how he booked himself in a match with her like 6 days before her wedding and was like beating her up. Like it seemed like that was the punishment for her not doing that.
And that's when Linda, Vince's wife, said, like, if you're doing this, if she has a bruise on her for her wedding, I'll kick your ass. Like, you're not going to give her a black eye before her wedding day.
He really is just a carny that happened to become a billionaire and built his home and built his own world.
And maybe a little bit of a cuck as well, because I don't even know if they got into this. Maybe they did. I can't remember specifically. When he hired Eric Bischoff, over the next few years, he did angles where Bischoff made out with his daughter Stephanie and then made out with his wife Linda. And Bischoff's like, he specifically talks about how, like, when he had to do the angle kissing Stephanie, Vince produced that segment backstage and was watching him. And Bischoff's like, this was so uncomfortable. He also said that I saw a shoot interview where Bischoff's like, actually, Linda was a better kisser. And I'm like, well, Stephanie probably didn't want to fucking make out with you in front of her dad.
Let me tell you this. I am no pervert.
I like in the documentary, Vince 2022, like current Vince is talking. He's like, we've never had any rape. We've never had any guns, whatever. And then they cut to stuff from the 90s. Like, you're a rapist. It's like all the clips. Brian Pillman with a gun.
Yeah, when Pillman's got a gun angle. The Katie Vick angle we talked about on Patreon, where they rape a corpse. I mean, it's the worst storyline in wrestling history, but it's what they simulate. Raping a corpse. I mean, I guess whatever that you would call that.
There was a clip on there where Triple H was being asked a question about something. They're like, have you ever been, I forget how they asked it, but have you ever been embarrassed or something you didn't want to do? And he's like, yeah. And then they cut to the Katie Vick clip. He's like, I raped a corpse or whatever he said.
So they did. And then the whole angle they did where he marries Stephanie McMahon on TV. He drugs her and then takes her through the the drive-through wedding chapel in Vegas. Yeah. And then in his promo alludes to, it's not did we, how many times did we?
Yes.
And it's like she was unconscious.
Different times, I guess.
Yeah. It's wild.
Even then, it was not good.
I actually watched that the other night. Around the time the documentary came out. I feel bad laughing at it now, but like how Hunter is going like this to the side and just like, talking in a high pitched voice, like pretending to be Stephanie.
Yes. I do.
Yeah. Like when they're leaving, the lady's like, congratulations. Steffi's like, oh, thank you.
Oh, that's funny.
Overall, like you said, Ian, I think it was a great history of WWE.
And it was interesting to hear the wrestlers talk about things like that. One other thing I was thinking of that I wanted to say, it was interesting how no one would, at the end, would give their opinion, like what would be Vince McMahon's legacy. No one was comfortable talking like that.
Yeah.
I think because Vince seems to be one of those dudes that loyalty is everything to him.
Yeah.
He seems like a person that wants that undying loyalty. Like Bruce Pritchard, I think, would take a bullet for Vince.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
They may have just edited it that way too, right? Is that where they show like 5 sets? They asked the question and it showed everyone not answering.
Yeah, that's true.
That could have just been editing too.
I think so. My thought on this is that if anything happens with Vince criminally, I just have this feeling that he's going to pull like a Joe Paterno and just die. Like he'll just die before anything really happens. And then I think time's going to pass. And I think Vince McMahon is going to be the patron saint of pro wrestling. And he's going to be glorified by WWE for years to come, is what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame. I think when he dies, maybe not right, depending on when he dies. I think his legacy from the wrestling standpoint is none of those scandals matter. We're here today because of Vince. He's the godfather of all of us. That's what I think it's going to end up being. I'm not saying it should be. I'm saying that's what I think it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, if he ends up going to trial and he's going to jail for years and years, then that might change things. Yeah. I just don't see that happening.
I thought there was going to be more in the recent allegations at the end of that.
Yeah.
I thought that's what they were hinting at when whatever broke out during the filming. They didn't really do any of that.
They just gave you the update on what we all know. Mm. So that's what I was going to say. It's a great history of WWE. Overall, I'm slightly disappointed in what it became. Now, that's for me who, I know all of this stuff. I didn't learn anything from this documentary.
Yeah.
And it didn't really get into the allegations and the dirty stuff like I thought it might. So, it was good. And if you want a history of WWE, it was great. But as a Mr. McMahon documentary, I think it fell short.
Yeah. I just found myself very entertained with the history.
Absolutely.
But then being like, because I know all this stuff already, just like listening for the one-liners, or if they say something, contradicting to something we've previously heard or whatever.
I also thought like they spent like 3 episodes, and it was like the majority of the interviews were Vince and Hogan. And I'm just not a Hogan fan anymore. I don't need to hear that guy talk that much. They had Austin on and The Rock for what? Maybe 3 little quick bits.
Yeah.
You didn't need an entire episode on WCW. You could have covered that in about 4 minutes. Yet they spent at least half an episode talking about WCW and the NWO. What the fuck does that have to do with Vince McMahon? You can just say competition grew.
Yeah.
And then you kind of skimmed. You had this whole episode, 2 episodes on Hulk Hogan and how great and big. And then you kind of just skimmed over the Attitude Era, gave it an episode to cover all of that. I would have liked to have heard more from those guys. I don't need that much Hulk Hogan. So that's the negative parts for me. Positive parts, Tony Atlas has the greatest outfit of all time. That man is fucking awesome. He wears a white button-up shirt with a tie and the sleeves cut off. That's great. That is great. Next job interview, please someone go like that.
I forget who said it, but someone insinuated that Vince helped cover up the Snuka murder way back when.
That's right. If there was like a payoff or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That would be, I thought about doing that one day for, I don't know, on maybe a Sunday show, maybe a Patreon, but that's very interesting. And then that was another story. I mean, when that finally came out and Snuka was going to courts, he died from that too.
Yeah.
I mean, he had dementia, but he never had, there was no justice on that one.
Nope.
And it seems, there was a whole dark side of the ring on that too. It seems pretty likely that he killed this girl, his girlfriend.
There's a Vince McMahon Playboy interview out there, a very long one. It's a better idea of Vince McMahon than the documentary was. Like if you wanted a Mr. McMahon documentary, the Playboy interview is that. I don't know if it's that well known out in the world.
I remember it vaguely, but wasn't it like 99, 2000?
2001.
Okay. So this is when he was on top of the world. Mm-hmm. It was like still the Attitude Era. So he probably felt comfortable just being like, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want.
He talks about his childhood in it. He alludes to the incest with his mother and stuff, all that crazy stuff. I'll post a link to the article in the description if anybody wants to read it. But I was reading about what he said about Owen Hart, and I wanted to see what you thought about this because I'd never heard this before. So he's talking about earlier in the day.
This is the day Owen Hart died.
Correct.
When he fell from the rafters, and they continued the pay-per-view after he had died.
So he's talking about earlier in the day. My son Shane and I were out in the ring walking through a physical bit we had to do that night, and I was shocked and surprised by Owen. He was descending to the ring in typical Owen fashion, yelling and raising hell. He was one of the biggest rippers, as we call them in the business, a practical joker, a prankster.
Probably supposed to say ribbers.
Yeah.
Ribbers, as in like practical joke or rib.
I've never heard rippers before.
Yeah, you're quite a ripper, huh?
Playboy fucked up on that. I had never heard that before. That Owen, I heard that he didn't, or it was my understanding that he never tested it out that day, let alone just drop from the ceiling being like playing a prank on Vince.
The prank part I've never heard before. I want to say he did do a walkthrough.
Where he actually descended?
I believe he did, because then isn't that when he said, no, this is taking too much time to get off. I need a quick release. And then they changed it. And then he never did a rehearsal with the quick release.
I'm going to try and Google it.
Because I think he was like, if it's taking me 3 minutes to get this harness off, why would my opponent not just come attack me? Mm-hmm. So he's like, I need something that as soon as I land, I can quick release out of it. I don't know if that all happened that same day. I know that Owen was hesitant to do a rehearsal and kept putting it off because he was, I think, 1, afraid of heights, and 2, just didn't want to be bothered with it because he thought it was stupid.
I don't know if it said it had been rehearsed prior to the 1999 incident, so I don't know if it means it was that day. But I had never heard that story about Owen playing a prank.
And Vince being in the ring
with
at the
Shane.
time. Yeah, I've never heard that either.
So I'll post a link to this, though. It's an interesting read.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. If you know nothing about wrestling, I think you'd still be very into it just to hear about the history of WWE and just kind of how Vince McMahon grew it he bought it from his dad for $1 million and turned it into a $1 billion industry and bought up all the competition and created his own little world.
I like how he seemed to genuinely not be able to comprehend how what he did to the territories is exactly what Ted Turner was doing to him.
They caught him on that too.
And he just seemed to not grasp that was doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Narcissist.
Yeah, I think very much so. I think it probably kills him now that like he built all this and he's nothing to do with it.
Oh, has to.
And he, you can't even really mention his name anymore. And I mean, his son-in-law runs it, but still they don't have like that control that they used to have. It's owned by Endeavor and who owns Endeavor and who's the parent company that The Rock's on the board of? TKO. Mm-hmm. Or is it Endeavor and then TKO owns WWE and UFC? Endeavor is the big company.
Maybe.
And then it's TKO, UFC, WWE. And I think The Rock's on the board of Endeavor.
Yeah, he's at the top.
Final boss.
Yeah.
All right. Any other final thoughts on it?
Trying to think of anything else.
It's definitely worth watching. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you're someone who doesn't like our wrestling episodes, even if you saw this and you were like, oh, I don't want to fucking listen to this, you probably would still enjoy it, I think.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And it gives you that kind of it gives you a good look at wrestling from someone who might not know anything about it.
Yeah.
And makes it, presents it in an interesting way and its history and stuff. So I don't know. Let us know your thoughts on it. Curious what people think. And then maybe we'll do a follow-up if there's ever any information on what happens with Vince and the grand jury investigation and all that.
Yeah, maybe probably do like a full series on Vince or something.
We could do a whole episode on all that.
All that pooping.
There's something. The craziest thing about that lawsuit is the text messages. The fact that there's receipts for all that is so crazy.
Yeah.
Gonna be.
That's a wild reading through that lawsuit.
Oh, it's disgusting. Why can't he just be like Tony Atlas and have a normal fetish where women stand on your face with their bare feet? No harm, no foul, right? You got anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Dave?
I'm all set.
Well, Bret Hart was cracking me up in that, in some parts. Talking about how he was like a true artist and stuff, like taking himself super, super serious.
Well, come on, that's Bret. He's fantastic. Friend of the show, obviously.
Obviously.
Bret takes it very seriously.
There was a meme out there that said Bret Hart saying Bret Hart things, and it was a still shot of him saying, I'm a true artist.
Yeah. He's good stuff. All right. Enjoy. Let us know if you watch it. Bye.